this is another thing that we also differ from other political parties or opposition parties in Rwanda because we also believe in non-violence. And that's what we need. As a political party, we want to bring up these ideas to cause debate. And when there is a big debate about these ideas, then there's a policy shift. For them, what they call opposition is a party that is not in government. Let's say Trump is now opposition of Biden. So Republican Party is an opposition party. Simple as that. But when they come to us in Africa, they want to have a different connotation or a different icon on that, which is very wrong. Anything you do when you don't have political power is useless. So we think that for us to have political power is going to election.
Hello there. My guest this week on the Long Form podcast is Frank Habineza, a parliamentarian and the president of the Democratic Green Party of Rwanda. In this week's podcast, we discuss his life, his party, what it stands for, and his aspirations for this country of ours, Rwanda. Hello there. Before we dive into today's conversation, have you subscribed to our channel yet? If you haven't, do so. And remember to share your thoughts with us in the comments below and like this video. Your support means a lot. Now let's get into it. Dr. Frank, welcome to the Long Form.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here again.
Yes. So you had just, off camera, I was asking you about your day, and you had just told me that you just come from a party meeting. What was that meeting about?
Thank you very much. It's a National Executive Committee meeting. We were sharing updates on the process we've been having of electing parliamentary candidates from all the 30 districts of Rwanda. So we finalized the process on Friday. We had started that process in January. We have had regional congresses or provincial congresses in every province, plus the city of Kigali. So this Friday we finalized with the Western Province, and we finally had 60 candidates from all the districts. That is 30 women and 30 men. So we also allow members of the National Committee to submit their candidature. The deadline was yesterday. So we are looking into all that. So doing final preparations for the list of the candidates, and we hope to make it in more public, official very soon. The National Congress,
All right, that sounds like a lot of work, and people know you as president of the Democratic Green Party of Rwanda. They know you as a member of parliament, but you are not always the president of the Green Party. You are not always a member of parliament. In fact, in 1977, when you were born, you were a refugee in Uganda. I would want to know how a refugee from Uganda, born in very harsh conditions, rises through, survives all those steps, and then today you are perhaps standing for the president of the Republic of Rwanda.
Yeah, it's a long process, a long journey. And a sad one also, because my mother was in the refugee camp in Toro. She met my father, who had come to press school in Namtamba. There were many Rwandans in Namtamba and Mitiana side. And so I was born in that environment. And they were struggling like all other Rwandans. My father was hardworking. He managed to buy some land and build a house. So at least I was born in a house, not in a tent. So I was born in a house, and we had some, coffee plantation, banana plantation, and so on. So when we were young, we were able to go to school. Like started with the kind of kindergarten, but kindergarten of those days, not like kindergarten of these days, quite different. So our kindergarten used to be at a Catholic church, where we could go and we could write on the floor. Not floor like this one, real floor. We write with our hands or with small kind of sticks like that. We had books, but they would not allow us to write in books immediately. We had to first learn on writing from the floor. So it was nice, and then we could have sticks to count. So I started counting using sticks. It was quite fun, but also a bad time, because I was born in a time when there was a war in Uganda. There were NRM rebels fighting Obote government. And my region was called Lowell Triangle, where the war was taking place there. So we used to see soldiers coming and taking our cows and what, so we used to run. And the funny moment that I remember, one time we went to hide with cows and goats. It went into the bush in a big mountain. And once we were there, we could not do anything during the day. So we could like cook in the night, But one time we were there, all of us quiet. And then the cows could cry out. I laughed. I said, "Now we are all very quiet, but the cows do not know that we are hiding."
Yes.
And then you know that if the soldiers would be around, they would just come to follow where there's that commotion of the cows. So anyway, it was a sad moment, but finally the war ended. We resumed school. So I was able to finalize primary school and went to secondary school, also in Namtamba Secondary School. I did my high school in Mitiana Secondary School. Namukozi, then I also went to Progressive Secondary School. Then finally, when I finished high school, I came to Rwanda to do my bachelor's in the National University of Rwanda in Butare. That was 1999, but I had to first do the French language for 1 year. But before that, when you were there in Uganda, I think I was around primary 6, around there. Then the war broke up. The RPF started the liberation war on Rwanda, and then we got involved somehow. So we used to attend youth meetings as a young person. I used to go to youth meetings. And, but those meetings were also not public meetings, but in the bush. We used to have meetings in the bushes. And then, but also they used to teach us about how to dance, Rwanda dance and some music and things like that. So it was also not so bad, it was good. And so 1994, after the war, because I was actively involved, I came to Rwanda. I was here, I think, first week of October, late September 1994 or October. So we came in the big truck, these trucks that carry coffee and what. So I was in one of those Tata lorries. We came with other Rwandans, passed through Kajitumba as returnees. Then we settled in Kayonza, place called Nyamirama. Actually, I have some relatives there. So I was able also to get a house there. We used to call it Kubuhoza then. Yes. So, but 95, around March, I had to go back to Uganda because I had left when I was in secondary 3 or Form 3. And by the time I was leaving, schools were not yet open in Rwanda. And I realized that I could not find a job as a senior 3 graduate. You don't have a diploma or a certificate. So, and then there was also pressure of enrolling us into either the Army or local defense force. And I realized that going into the local defense or the Army when you have no even O-level certificate, it would be also wasted your much time, because you would not be much useful to the Army or to the whatever, to the force, defense force. So I went back to Uganda in 95, and I was able to go to senior 4. I skipped because my headmaster said that I had been an intelligent boy. So he said there was no need of me repeating senior 3. So I was able to find others in the first term. And I managed to perform well because I was one of the best students. So when I finished, that's when I went to high school. So that was a small flashback. So basically, it was a very difficult time to be in Uganda. We used to be beaten by other Ugandan kids who used to call us Banyarwanda, like Banyarwanda was a crime. And I had this name of mine, Habineza, which could not be hidden. Sometimes I felt I was going even to hide my name because every time they call me Kanyarwanda, and if you are fetching water, we used to fetch water from some pipes, piped water, which would come from some springs in the mountains. So they find you there, putting a jerrycan there, they hit you in the head, you Munyarwanda, and I could cry. I say, "What is Munyarwanda?" And I go back, and they call me Munyarwanda, I'm crying. Then, I knew that Munyarwanda was a crime or was a kind of, first I thought it was an abuse, then I later realized it was a crime, and then I said, why don't I change my name? And my name, they could even tune it in a Ugandan way and make it into an abusive words, So later, I tried to call myself Mugisha, but my father was a stubborn man, he refused. He came to school and he refused that I should continue with my name. Then finally, anyway, I only managed to change the Christian name, but Christian name changing it was not about abuse because I was Frasco first. I was a Catholic. Then I changed it to Francis. But when I was finishing primary school, I changed it to Frank. I think Frank was more modern because we had some Congolese musicians, Franco and so on. So that was not about torture. It was about my wish.
Yes.
But my name, I was able to maintain my name. So anyway, it was a difficult process, and my mother died in between.
Sorry.
When I was in primary 4. So that was a very difficult episode. We were 3 kids, so my father had the responsibility of taking care of us. 3 kids, 1 boy and 2 girls, and it was a very difficult process.
I can imagine.
In brief, yeah.
But eventually, you get to Butare.
Yeah.
What did you do there?
When I was in Butare, I had developed some passion when I was in school. When I was specifically in secondary school, I was a member of the Scouts Club, but then I was also in the Red Cross Club. And by the time I was in secondary 3, I was chairman of the Red Cross at my school. So even by the time I came to Rwanda, I was in the Red Cross Club as a chairman. So I even went to Chiovu to visit the ICRC, the International Committee of Red Cross, asking for a job because I knew I was a Red Cross man, yeah. So, so that helped me to be more active in school, and I was also in the Wildlife Club, which was more supposed to protect about the environment. So those were like 3 specific passions I had. So when I went into high school, I continued. So by the time I was in progressive secondary school in Weyogere in Kampala, I materialized into a leader because I became chairman of the Red Cross Club. It was not there, I started it there. And the Wildlife Club was not there, I started it there. And then I was also in Rotaract, which was Interact actually.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was also commissioner in Interact. So I was very active also. We had a school magazine where I was a coordinator. So I was chairman for Red Cross, coordinator for Wildlife program, also for the school magazine, and even other social school clubs, academic clubs, the History Club, Divinity Club. I was vice chairman, secretary general for Divinity. For history, I was vice chairman. Also, I had a title in the economics club. So basically, I was a very active person at high school.
So then how did you
And then
active?
there,
we
had an idea. Maybe what I forgot to mention to you, when my mom died, I got a foster parents who took care of me afterwards. So when I finished primary school, so there's a powerful family in Uganda called the Nagendas. I think you have heard about
John
them.
Nagenda.
Stephen Nagenda, so they took me up. So I grew up with them, and that also shaped my future because they were politicians and they had also been labels with Museveni and they were in the government. So I had a lot of exposure there, seeing newspapers every time, listening to the news, TV, everything at that young age. So I was very exposed to many things and seeing government leaders and others. So, so I had my own leadership skills, but which are also shaped by my environment that I was in. So by the time I reached high school, we became kind of crazy that we started a political party. We had an idea of starting a political party, in high school, to oppose Museveni government. I come from a family which is proper government because they were very senior government officials. So, and I had other guys. I remember I used to have one daughter, Tinya Funza, and the others. There are many other guys who came from different families. So we're like all from big families, but kind of with new ideas of wanting something new in Uganda. So they gave me a task to go find out how to register a party. So I went to my area MP. At the time, I was called Emmanuel Chirenga, was also Rwanda. And so I went to his home. I told him, we're starting a party. He said, he was very shocked, knowing where my family and so on. He said, okay, it's okay. He was the Minister of Constitutional Affairs and also Member of Parliament for our area. So he gave us the advice of going in the country, searching for signatures. So I went back to school and I told them what our minister told us.
How old were you at this time?
I could have been 16 or 17 or what. I don't think I was 18.
Opposition party.
We didn't even know about, it was about ideas, not about the age. Yeah. So, So then but it was coming also time to final exams by that time, finishing mock and so on. Then we realized that we did not have enough time to do that. So we agreed that let's finalize with the exams, final exams, then do this when we reach Makerere University. That was our plan. But fate brought me to Rwanda again. Others went to London, whatever, Makerere and whatever, so we dispersed.
I want to ask you just a question. Among that whole group, of these young politicians that he was trying to cook up a party. Other than you, who started the Green Party here in Rwanda, was any of your colleagues successful in their political...
Yeah, some have been very successful in different domains. Others have become parliamentarians. Others are...
But then did any of them start a party?
No.
So you're the only one who
I was able to push the idea forward. Others just were comfortable in other positions. Others went to the police or in the army or in government positions. I hear about them that they are very rich and popular and so on, but they didn't continue with the idea.
Yes.
Yeah, but someone took up the name we had suggested. So I think one of those people gave up our name.
Which name was that?
I would wish not to say it.
Yeah.
But the name of what we had said is there
People
now.
power.
I prefer not to go into that here. So it's surprising that I heard it. I said, wow, this was our idea.
Yes.
But anyway, so when I went to Butare, I had all that background. And now, having come to Rwanda after the genocide, knowing the history of Rwanda, and then I thought, what can I contribute in Rwanda? I said that I would put much focus on environmental protection. But I also had passion for media. Because I mentioned to you that I was, we had a school magazine which I was coordinating, and I used to write stories in the Children's Monitor and also Children's Vision. Because my uncle, John Nagenda, was a writer. He used to have a column in the New Vision. And we had another in Rwanda in Namtamba called John Wabuhungu, who used to also to inspire me a lot. He used to have also a weekly page in the New Vision, The Wonders of Namtamba. Yeah. So I had people who used to inspire me so much in writing. So I developed my skills. We even had the Writers Club in Namtamba, which I was also part of. So when I came, I got accepted in the New Times. We used to work at near opposite Meridia, Meridia Hotel. So I was there in '99, and but I wasn't happy because I wrote like 3-4 articles and none of them was accepted for publishing. So I said, I don't think this is my home. So I went to the Rwanda Newsline.
Yes.
The Rwanda Newsline, my first article was published. I said, second article published. And then when I went to Butare, they made me correspondent for the Newsline in Butare province. And later also made me bureau chief, to also be in charge of sales of the newspapers and so on. And later on came Museso, which I was also writing for because they were also from the same company. So I had also that passion of writing. So I used to write for the new Rwanda Newsline, Museso, and later the Rwanda Herald.
What year was that?
From 1999 to, I think I stopped in 2003. So I used to, and also in the university we had a newspaper there called Arboretum, and I was part of the Commission of Communication. We had our commissioner, Samuel Munyakayanza, and the others. So they were also reviving of the Rodea Puzzle. I think you remember it. And so we also, the Butarian was also dead, but we're trying to revive it. So we worked hard anyway, and later they also came the Faculty of Journalism in Butaria. So I would say that I still have a passion for the media because I used to be part of that. But those things I mentioned them because they shaped what I am today.
Yes.
So I'm not a Kurondogora, as they say in Rwanda, but I'm saying all this because all that, my love for environment, my love for the media, finally pushed me into having another image of Rwanda, seeing of what I wish the new Rwanda to be, making a contribution to the new Rwanda. And later on, that's when I thought about starting a political party.
When did you start thinking about, if you can, when did you start thinking about starting a political party?
In Rwanda.
When? In Rwanda?
Other than that of Uganda.
That one was...
Yeah, that was childish dreams.
You can call them young people's dreams.
Yes,
but then now here...
The serious ones, yeah.
Serious.
Serious ones now was 2002. 2002, I had an opportunity to go to United Kingdom. And as I mentioned, I was very active in environment. I had an association, Rwanda Wildlife Clubs. We even had a club at university called UNR Wildlife Club. We used to plant trees and so on. And had so many other activities and projects anyway. So I was already known. And now when I went to the UK, the family that hosted me, they were from the Green Party. And then I realized, oh, it was also Green. Before I didn't know there was a Green Party. So when I was in the UK, then I saw, oh, there are also green parties that are also focusing on environment protection, which was my passion. I said, oh, this is interesting. And then when I came back to Rwanda, I talked to some of my friends who are from different faculties, and we said, why don't we start a party? But then we said, in Rwanda, what do we need most? We were thinking, oh, Justice Party. So what is this name? Justice and Freedom Party. Justice, Freedom, Green Party. So we had different names here. And then finally we said, okay, let's just make it just Rwanda Green Party. And then we wrote constitution and what, and then we submitted it to officials. And one time to university officials, and then I had a chance even to talk to the vice chancellor about it. And one time it was a good day morning, I got a call from Kigali and come. We had one to start a political party, come and explain to us. I came and explained that.
Who did you
if
get a
you
call
allow
from?
that officials. Yeah.
Is it,
So, is
it a secret?
no, I would say, if I call it government official, I think it's enough, yeah. Yeah. So, and then I explained. They had me, they said, but you're still a young man. You have not even finished your university. I think I was in second year then. You don't even have money. Political party is not a small thing. It requires money, it requires commitment. But they also told me, maybe you are not also seeing what is happening in the country. You see there are these parties, the MDL, they are having divisions, they are breaking up, they are having problems. But maybe when you start a new party, some people may misunderstand you and confuse you, or maybe you can become a new home for those people, and they may also bring trouble to you. So they said, maybe it's not a good time to start a party for you as a young person. So I thought that what advice they gave me was a genuine advice. So I went and told my colleagues that this is the advice I've got from the people in Kigali. They think that this is a wrong time for us. It's too risky. And indeed, the MDR party was in big problems. In the media, they were fighting in the Senate, in the parliament, and what. So finally, it was disbanded. The party was disbanded. And there are other things that were starting up and which were also problematic then. So, so we postponed the idea. And that was coming to 2003. 2003 already, yeah. So the party was like there, but 2003 we postponed it. Then we continued in the RPF, because I was also in the RPF at the time. So we continued in the RPF. There were elections in 2003. We were active. We used to go with the commissioner, I think it was Commissioner Karango Krizorog, who was a vice chancellor, who was at IRST, one of the two. But we used to have meetings in the IRST, and also in Taba, there was, not Taba, there's a military school near the market. I've forgotten the name. Yeah, so we used to be there. ESO, I think it was called ESO. Yeah, so we would have meetings and so on. So I forgot about it, continued with RPF.
So that's very confusing, because on one side, you had, really put in a lot of work into creating another party.
Yeah.
Obviously, you had made that decision because you thought that
we thought there were things that needed to be changed.
That what RPF what RPF is doing, you don't fully. You think that you could do things differently.
Actually, at that time, it was not more about doing things differently. It was more about contributing something different.
Yes, but then now, so are you? Because it's a bit confusing, right? Because on one side, you're saying, you know what, we wanted to create something of our own.
Yeah.
And then you realize that maybe it's not the right time.
Yeah.
So then you went back to
yes
where you were supposed to be anyway.
No, we were ready. We were when I was doing that, we were in the RPF youth. So then we thought that we're starting this, and at this time I don't think we were starting it like as a position. We thought we were starting something new, to make a new contribution, to make something change, to bring some new ideas and so on.
So was it a pressure group? Was it a
no, it was a party, but I think even the ideas were still young ideas. Yeah, because we were seeing some problems which we thought should be addressed here, but which we also thought we could have new ideas to contribute here. And then, but when they showed us the risks that were involved at the time and the timing that it was not right, I believed what they told me, and I thought that what they said was actually right here. So we analyzed it. We had a committee, a group from different faculties here. So we said, maybe this is right. So we made analysis and we agreed, okay. So actually some of the guys were from PSD, they were not even in RPF. Others continued with PSD. I know some of them, some there, somewhere. Others, yeah, you understand, yeah. So we are somewhere, all of us active in different ways, yeah. So we continued, but like the idea kind of died, not died completely, like we postponed it or hibernated, let me call it like that. And I got a job in government immediately after I finished school in 2005. I was appointed as a personal assistant to the Minister of Environment, Forestry, Lands, Water and Mines. So then I was there, and finally, some time later, the minister was dropped in 2006, and I was given other opportunities, but I chose a different path. I went to the civil society, which was international, to head the Nile Basin Discourse Forum in Rwanda, and then also I continued with my environmental activities a lot. And later on, the ideas, we rehabilitated them in 2007. Long after I'd left the government, we thought now that I had matured enough, and we said that I think we need to do something. So this time, I still had go back to my people in the RPF, those I knew. We had been having discussions about politics. We said, you know what, we need to do something. And this time we need to officially leave the RPF because we cannot do something when we're still there. So we had to say we are declaring a new party and we have left RPF. And we are starting an opposition party. Of course, what followed was bad news. Yeah.
So that's, I feel that, you know, we've taken about 25 or so minutes just trying to get to the why, you know. But I have a question that I really want to ask. As at the head of an opposition party, I know that your job is to oppose certain government policies. And of course, I'll get into some of those points of where you've been opposing. But I would like to actually know, before I talk about what you oppose, I would want to know what you believe in. You, as Frank, Honorable Frank Habineza, you as the president of the Green Party, what are your belief systems?
Okay, maybe before I answer that, I would say that by the time we're starting the new party, now it was no longer a Green Party. We call it the Democratic Green Party of Rwanda. So we chose the two keywords, democratic and the green, for certain reasons, because we believe that we need to do more on democracy. So I believe in democratic governance, in the rule of law. I believe that everyone has rights, which are born and which are also guaranteed by the Constitution that should be respected. So in the spirit of human rights, I believe in social justice and economic justice. We should all have equal opportunities. I also believe that, I also believe in the fundamental principles of the Constitution, which are like promotion of national unity, fighting genocide and its ideology, and other things, which are the Constitution. So I do believe in them. But personally, I stand for justice, which could be social justice, economic justice, for democracy, which has a wider areas of human rights protection, media freedoms, and so on. And I would say that because of the background we grew up in, where we also saw some poverty and all kind of things. So I believe in a social welfare state, a state that would be able to help its people to overcome poverty, to uplift, to have what we call social well-being, where that people are free from poverty conditions, where people have clean water, people have good housing conditions, people can have some money, and because I know what poverty is, I know it was difficult for us to study when we were young. And even later, it was not easy to study, even to live. So I still see many people struggling. So I feel that the state can do more. So I believe in a social welfare state, not in much more like the liberal system whereby the state leaves people to fend for them. So I believe that the government should be able to do something for the people. So there are many things I believe in, but maybe we can take that one.
Would you like to partner with us here at the Long Form? If you do, you can send an email to us at longformrwanda@gmail.com. Partner with us and become part of Rwanda's most exciting and in-depth podcast. I mean, I really want to get into this because everything that you've said, everything that you believe in, whether it's media freedoms, whether it's rule of law, economic justice, a state that takes care of its people, constitutionalism, I don't think that there's any party in Rwanda that disagrees with you, right? Because if you fundamentally look at what you're saying, I could turn it around and say you sound exactly like the people who put together the RPF program. It sounds exactly like.
That's the fun thing about Rwanda.
If I may, if I can try to finish this question, because I really want to understand what differentiates you, right, as a political party, because it sounds like you were a member of RPF. In your youth and up to, it sounds like you're about 26, 27, 28.
Yeah, that's correct.
And even the programs that you're talking about, even going as far as environmentalism, I don't think that the RPF would say that, no, we don't want a green Rwanda. So what's the difference between you and the ruling party?
I think always the biggest difference comes into the implementation. I think that all normal thinking people would, if you want to be a serious politician, you would need to respect the Constitution. So I think anyone, if you do not respect the Constitution, then you cannot be a politician, because that's the supreme law of the country. So I would say that, but there are other politicians who do not respect the Constitution. There are other politicians who think they can overthrow the Constitution, who think they should go to the bush and fight and overthrow the Constitution and elected government. So there are others like that. But they will not be accepted as normal politicians or career politicians. So I would say that we sometimes would say that we all want democracy, but the way to achieve that democracy becomes a challenge. We would all maybe say we want to do poverty alleviation things, but then we do things differently which are not really into that. So I think for us, we're also different, that we do seriously mean what we believe in, and also we have sometimes a different perspective, whereby we believe in economic growth, but also believe in protecting the environment as much as we do economic growth, so that we don't just do economic growth, development, but also endanger the environment. So this is where we also differ. So sometimes people want to do growth by doing a lot of mining, but they forget about the consequences of mining on the environment, on the people, and so on. So we think that we need to have sustainable policies that would also cater for that other side, and that we don't end up in ditches and contaminated areas and so on. So I would say that when you look into details, we have what we call the green ideology. The green ideology stands on some fundamental principles that were approved actually in the Global Congress in Australia in 2001, which would stand for grassroots democracy. So grassroots democracy, that's like democracy whereby people from the grounds are involved in everything. Then we talk about social justice. Then we talk about ecological wisdom. So it's not about environment, actually, it's called ecological wisdom. That's the principle here. So when we talk about ecological wisdom, it's about real research, understanding how can we protect the environment, how can we preserve it by doing other things as well. So when you go to non-violence, this is another thing that we also differ from other political parties or opposition parties in Rwanda, because we also believe in non-violence. So because other opposition parties in Rwanda, they don't believe in a peaceful way of doing politics. They want to fight, they want to go to the bush, they're in Congo, elsewhere. Whereas we believe that we need to...
because I don't think, when I think about political parties in Rwanda, I count you, I count, because the way I perceive politics, I don't include terrorism.
Yeah.
If we can, maybe we should be able to discuss about legitimate opposition that is within the framework of our constitution.
Exactly.
Because if you believe in constitutionalism, then you cannot call
Others, yes,
those in the FDLR and RNC,
others,
those
exactly.
ones are not opposition.
Yeah, but they call themselves also opposition. Yeah.
But then we cannot call them here,
Exactly,
within our
yeah.
context,
Exactly,
if
yeah.
you believe in
Yes.
constitutionalism.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying that we do believe in non-violence. So when we talk about non-violence, we believe that whatever we do, we should do it in an atmosphere that is not threatening others. That we, even if we don't agree with something, let's say I don't agree with some government policies, I should not even just go to break up grasses and cars and so on just because I don't. So we believe that we can negotiate, we can dialogue, we can push our ideas, but through peaceful dialogue atmosphere, and we can confront ideas but not fighting. So that's like how we can differ with other political organizations in other countries.
It's a bit tricky. So I'm listening to you, right? And I'm hearing a lot of political rhetoric. You know, you sound like a politician. That is good. But if you're saying that you are standing for president of our republic, I need a bit more, something a bit more meatier, something with a bit more details. Right now, for example, our economy is based off of agriculture, tourism, mining, services. We've been growing at between 5 to 8%. Last year it was 8.2% GDP per capita. I want to hear from you. What are the policies, right, in detail, if I may, that the Green Party stands for? Don't tell me, you know, economic freedom. That's just a slogan. When you talk about that, how do you make my life better?
Yeah, no, it's a very good question that you're asking, but I think it's a wrong timing that you're asking the question, because as I mentioned to you, maybe I forgot to mention to you, that these regional congresses we've been holding all over the country, we've been collecting ideas for the manifesto or the political program that we are going to use for the next or the upcoming elections. So we have been collecting ideas and drafting the manifesto since September last year. And we've been, up to last Friday, that's when we closed the process of collecting ideas. So we are going to be winding up the process this April. And the Congress is expected to be on the 3rd May. That's when we shall unveil our manifesto, which has the key ideas that you want me to talk about. So right now, if I go into those details, I'll have committed a crime to my party because I'm not allowed to go to that. So what I have answered is more like that, but maybe a few things I can add on that we have, like, let's say on agriculture, we have a program called the food security and food safety. So when we talk about food security, we believe that right now we are still depending on food imports. We get rice from Pakistan, from India, from Tanzania, from elsewhere, and maize from Zambia and elsewhere. So we believe that we should do more sustainable agriculture for our country, that we would be able to have enough food for ourselves.
What would you do
and,
more?
So those are the details that I cannot give to you now, yeah.
So
we have the key line, but the details will be in the policy document, yeah. But that's not far, it's just 1 month to go. I'll be glad to come back to this show, actually, in May, when I have the official document and when my party authorizes me to talk about those details. Because now I will be committing a crime to my party because it's not yet official to say what has been collected from the members, because we have to summarize it, synthesize it, and make it clear for the public, yeah. So we believe in that we talk about safety. We don't agree so much on using fertilizers. We believe in using organic manure.
You don't believe in, okay.
We believe in using organic manure, and we do much more policy to make sure that we have organic manure, because we know a lot of dangers of fertilizers. We are opposed to using of the genetically modified organisms. I know that the parliament voted for the law. I voted against that law in parliament because I know the dangers of that. So we have a lot of contrasts with what's going on, and we believe that people should first farm more for their family before they go for the market, because I saw, like in the northern province, people, whatever they farm, they want to take it to the market, and they end up not having anything for themselves. So we need to see how we formulate a new policy that we can replace what is taking place, that people have enough food than taking to the market, and then you end up not having enough for your children. So there will be a lot to be done. There are some things we have been mentioning in the media, some briefs, but the details will come soon. So I would say that we believe in creating more jobs for young people, and both educated and uneducated ones. So, and we talk about agro-processing industries, so that we believe that there will be more agro-processing industries, in some small industries in the rural areas that would process what people are doing, and even for animal husbandry, and of course for foodstuffs and so on, that can give more jobs, to the people there in the rural areas and so on, and that would help in curbing the rural-urban migration problem and so on. Yeah. So these are things that we're talking about, which are in our manifesto.
I'll be really interested to see some of your agricultural policy, because I also do farming.
Oh, wonderful.
And so when you tell me, for example, that you don't want me to use inorganic fertilizer, I start getting...
We call them artificial
inorganic.
Artificial fertilizers.
Inorganic fertilizer versus organic fertilizer. I get a bit worried, because for me as a farmer, I know what the cost of manure is. And I know not just the cost, but I also know the availability. And I'm worried that some of the policies, of course, I haven't, like you said, you haven't fully put out your white paper so that we can look at it and really analyze the policies. But those, I'll be, there's going to be a bit...
there's a big debate.
There might be a big debate on some of these policies.
And that's what we need. As a political party, we want to bring up these ideas to cause debate. And when there is a big debate about these ideas, then there's a policy shift. And maybe when we have a policy shift, we can have in between, where we can say, maybe this is not so perfect, or this is not so good, but you can have a middle ground here. Yeah, because that's what we call building the country. Because what we need, as I mentioned, I believe in the social well-being of the people. We need the best for the people of Rwanda, not to go backwards, but to go forward.
Yes. Who comes up with, when you sit down and come up with this, I'm hearing a lot about you going to these international conferences, and then they're talking about all these policies, and then you bring them back home. And I wonder, do we have because it sounds like there's a lot of, what the beliefs of the Green parties from around the world, the Australian, the European, the Swedish, the Canadian, they have their own policies.
No.
They have their own policies that may not work here. For our country. I'd like to hear from you. Do you have any homegrown policies of the Rwanda Democratic Green Party that are just ours, that don't copy and paste what I would call foreign ideology?
There's one thing that I would like to first clarify. We have what we call international parties. I think in the world, maybe, I don't know your background, economic background, but when you do a little bit of political science, we study about political ideologies in political science, So there was communism, socialism, liberalism, those things, So what died was communism, but communism was reborn or readapted into socialism. And socialism was not so much functional, but now it became like a social democratism kind of whatever, but still the same ideology. So in the 70s, that's when there came another political ideology, environmentalism, whereby the first people thought about having a new political ideology started. And then later it became the green ideology. So the green ideology is another third international force after the socialism and liberalism, which are the main political ideologies all over the world. So that environmentalism, there was one Congress which approved now the ideology, because there were a lot of talks here and there, and there was also worried that people were thinking that Green parties were only concerned about environment, which was not the case. So people came up with 6 principles, key principles, or key parts of the ideology that would define what they call a Green party, which was, as I mentioned briefly, it was social justice, and then there is non-violence, then there is ecological wisdom, then there is participatory democracy, then there is issues of human rights and issues of sustainable development. So basically, so that's what they call the ideology. Like in socialism, also they have key points which make it the ideology. So like now we have in Rwanda a Social Democratic Party, which is part of the socialism ideology. We have the Liberal Party, which is part of the liberal ideology. And we have the RPF, which mixes everything together, takes from all corners and puts together. So all political parties, if you go back into the ideologies of political parties from democracy in the Greek sense and so on, where we all come from, they will have foundations from there. So I would say that there are some parties which may not be having international ideology, but we happen to have like other 3 parties in Rwanda which have international ideology and the RPF which mixes some other international ideologies together. So what we do in green parties, always say from Sweden or from whatever.
In yours?
Yeah. You don't swallow all this just like swallow them whole. You get the concept of the ideology, then you put it in the local context. So you say, if I talk about democracy, what democracy do we have in Rwanda? How do I want to be in Rwanda? How different do I want to have it? Depending, because if our ideology is to have participatory democracy, we have everyone participates in democracy. In Rwanda, do they participate? Yes. How do they do it? What's wrong with it? Then we analyze that, and then we put it in the Rwandan context. So we do have a manifesto, actually, of 2017 presidential elections, which defines the key things that we stand for. We do have another manifesto for 2018 parliamentary elections. You can still, because it's still active until we replace it, so you can still look at it. So it have key issues we mentioned about democracy, about agriculture, about environment, about what, health care, and so on. So these things that we make it in the real context of the people of Rwanda, what we need. And that's what makes it different from other parties.
Yeah. It's funny that a child of refugees would be non-violent. There's a bit of a.
But because we've seen a lot of violence, I told you when I was young, I was in the bush hiding from soldiers.
If there are not young men and women in 1990 who decided to grab the guns, we might have not been. All of us might have not had a country. I would like to go to my next question. You're on the record opposing a lot of government initiatives. I think it's well known, whether it is the Visit Rwanda partnership with Arsenal and that you've gone on the record opposing Rwanda's nuclear ambitions. It seems to me, for example, where you were sitting, I was able to discuss Rwanda's nuclear with our head of our nuclear body. And he told me, he gave me a very interesting statistic. He said that if Rwanda was to utilize all of its energy potential, so that is using gas, solar, hydro, peat, every kind of energy, wind as well, our potential would only reach about 900 megawatts. Today, for example, we use about 300 megawatts, right? That's our capacity at the moment. But then if we look at where Rwanda wants to go in 2030, you know, the plan, 900 megawatts will not take us where we want to go. You know, some of these cities, just even a New York City, for example, uses hundreds of, thousands of gigawatts of power. It sounds, when I read articles that you're quoted in, you know, I ask myself a question, which is this president of the Democratic Green Party of Rwanda, is he opposing just for opposing's sake? Is he actually looking at the facts on the ground, or is he just mirroring, you know, political slogans? Because that's I feel like, you know, I want to give you a chance as an intelligent person. I'm reading, I'm like, okay, these are the facts that I'm giving. Frank, Honorable Frank, is an intelligent person like myself. He sees the challenges that our country has, whether it is in bringing increasing food production, as you said, whether it is increasing our economic development, our different indicators, why is he seeing things so differently from me? And can I take him seriously if I just think, he's just a sloganeer?
That's a very intelligent question you have asked, because we have had a lot of debate about this in Parliament, and we are on record of having given all the reasons why we are opposed to the nuclear deal or nuclear power development in Rwanda. This started by first by approving the Vienna Protocol on nuclear, something there, and then finally there was a Lasatom from Russia company that wanted to start the nuclear plant or scientific center here in Rwanda, which was supposed to be ratified here, which opposed. So we give our very, very, very serious reasons why we are opposed to nuclear power, because first of all, we believe that renewable energy is the best way to go. Renewable energy, and we believe that we do have a lot of renewable energy. There have been efforts of renewable energy also hydropower is also part of renewable energy. So there have been big projects of developing the Rusumo Falls Dam and other many things. So we have a lot of water where we can have much power, and of course there have been also some production in Lake Kivu of the methane gas. I think that's not so bad. So we thought that if we could put much focus on renewable energy, there's also solar and others, the country would be better off, because that never ends. Well, we call it renewable energy, it never ends. But nuclear, it ends. It's artificial energy, you produce it, and you have to feed in things, uranium, mineral, whatever, and then you have a problem with the waste. So we're talking about the waste of the nuclear, whatever, those things that come out of it, where are we going to put it, and then dangers of the nuclear plant if in case of an accident. And we're talking about the money from the Vienna Convention, which was taken in case of accident. I think they were giving like $5 million. We said, what would $5 million do? If you look at like what happened in Japan, in Fukushima, when they needed billions of dollars just to recover from the accident they had. So we talked about issues like in Russia, I think it was Ukraine then, Chernobyl, where it erupted, and it was so serious to other countries far away from Ukraine then, including Sweden, up to Finland and elsewhere, far away, that children were born without hands, without legs, and whatever, because of those, the contamination of the air. So we say that Rwanda now, a country, how big we are, if an accident happened, if let's say, I think now that we all know about Ukraine, it's a big country. If things can go away from Ukraine and go up all the way, jump Germany, reach Sweden, and up that extent, it's like thousands and thousands of kilometers. So if it happens in Rwanda, whereby we are not so thousands and thousands of kilometers, means the whole country will be contaminated. So if God forbid, something leaks up, the whole country will be in danger. And not only the whole country, even the neighboring countries will be in danger. So as much as would convince me the goodness of nuclear, but to talk about the dangers, if the danger happens, we'll lose everything we have worked for. And look, the dangers happen even 50 years after, it doesn't stop there. Like if you visit Chernobyl, even now there's no grass where it was. So these are the reasons we gave. So people were telling us, you can't do away with nuclear.
But then some of these countries that are giving you all these ideas, they use them. Whether it is, France, the UK,
but they're decommissioning.
US.
You look at Germany. Germany is decommissioning.
Right now, funny enough, these countries that were saying, we should go to renewable, all of them now are saying that, we need to go back to coal. These are
But the exact figures I have, like, for example, like in Germany, we know that this is not a lie, it's true that the government of Germany is made up by the Green Party and the Social Democratic Party together. They campaigned for decommissioning of these nuclear whatever plants, and there's serious efforts that are being taken up to do that. And in Sweden, it's the same case. In the other countries, no one is talking about nuclear development anymore. They want even to decommission what is existing. Whereas now they want to export these problems to Africa, and so that we will be the next market for them, because they know the dangers of that. So we think that, yes, There may be some good points in that, but the dangers are worse. So we say that if we compare the dangers of nuclear energy...
So you'd prefer that we stay poor?
No, I don't prefer to stay poor. But we develop more our renewable energy.
But then I've said, you cannot have it both ways.
No, I believe that the government and the people of Rwanda would do better if they have renewable energy.
I've told you, right now, our capacity as a country, our full capacity of all our potential and what we're doing today is 900
But did you know that what we have, we're not using it?
So
even what we have, don't use it.
900 is our potential. Right? To be able to even get, for example, smelting, go into light manufacturing, to medium manufacturing, to heavy manufacturing. There's a certain amount of power that we need. Rwandans are becoming richer. People want cars. People want to get televisions. It's going to be a real concern, energy. And it does not seem like you are on the ball. But I want to ask, if I can, Frank, Honorable Frank, just one question, and then I'll close this, if you are so kind. Is that possible?
1 minute?
Yes, I'll ask it. Maybe you can answer it in 1 minute. When international media and observers, international observers, human rights organizations, when they talk about Rwanda's democracy and the democratic movement, they talk about opposition and pro-government, right? It would seem as if when they talk about opposition, they never mention the Democratic Green Party. It almost seems to them, not to you, not to me, that the real opposition is made up of people like Victoire Ingabire and Ntaganda and the RNC people who are all over the world, and so even going so far as sometimes quoting FDLR as a legitimate opposition group. When you hear people talk about our democracy like that, when they hear you, when you see them, when they want to get, in fact, I like when they quote you, because you are a legitimate opposition leader. You have standing in our community. We know who you are, we know what you stand for.
And I have members on the ground.
Exactly. So, but then whenever I open a newspaper, The Guardian, it's Victoire Ingabire. She's become the spokesperson for everyone. She's almost become your spokesperson. Unfortunately, but that's what it seems like. It's as if you don't exist. How does that make you as a person feel? And how does your party react to almost being sidelined, not by Rwandans, mind you, by people who deem to know what Rwandans deserve in terms of governance?
I feel very sad, and it's indeed absurd, because I have had a chance to live in Europe. Myself, I have lived in Sweden, but I've also visited several other countries, America and elsewhere. When for them, what they call opposition is a party that is not in government. Let's say Trump is now opposition of Biden. So Republican Party is an opposition party. Simple as that. So, but when they go to the UK, it's the same thing. But when they come to us in Africa, they want to have a different connotation or a different icon on that, which is very wrong. So I know that where it comes from mostly is because that when we started the party, we had made up a coalition with Victoire Ingabire in the beginning, and when we decided to leave the coalition because of obvious reasons, we thought that
what were the obvious reasons?
We realized later, when we joined up forces together, we thought we were fighting for the same thing, democracy and so on and so forth. But later, when we saw her ideology, her plans were quite different from what we were believing in, when they were differing on the issues of the definition of the genocide and issues like that. So we realized that this was not what we signed up for. So we left that coalition.
Was that before she came to Rwanda in 2010?
No, this is actually we joined together when she was here, not before she came here. So we signed up an agreement with Ntaganda, Bernard, P.S. Mbarakuri, and the FFD Nchingi. And later on, we realized that this was wrong. So we jumped out and there was a lot of pressure. There may be a lot of story about that, but maybe to go a long story, keep a long story short. So once we did that, people said, now Green Party has left TF, changing, it's now part of RPF. So we said, why? Ngabire came to Rwanda. When we had our party, we started our party before hers. We started our party in 2009. We were beaten here in St. Paul. We were denied permission because people believed that we were radicals or whatever. They didn't believe what we were saying, that we wanted democracy. They thought we were radicals, we want to cause trouble and so on. So we had so many problems. So we said this woman came after us when we had seen all these problems, when we had no chance at all. And actually we thought that maybe when we joined forces together, maybe they will accept her party or maybe our party, then we can see. So that's what we believed at the time. But when things went the other way around, we saw what she said and so on, we said, this is not what we thought about here. So when we left her, then they started calling us that we are part of the RPF. So that's where it started from. Then next is that these people, when you say you want non-violence, they don't believe in non-violence, most of them. They would want you to fight.
So the Ngabides and all those groups?
Yeah, so there's a connotation like from East Africa where people see opposition going, fighting here and there, causing trouble, breaking windows and what and so on, destabilizing everything. So when we said, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to copy and paste what is. I was born in Uganda, but I don't want to copy and paste what I see happening in Uganda to here because I think it's not the right thing for Rwandan people. We have seen a lot of violence in Rwanda. We have seen the genocide against the Tutsi, the war, the what, and even history. I was not even born here because of those problems from before. So we don't want to have those troubles. So I said that we want something different, to do position politics, but not that one like of Uganda or Kenya, but another one which people of Rwanda would feel safe with you. And I've been in a situation where people felt not safe with me. Yeah, when I started, people felt not safe with me. They said, when you join Franca's party, you'll have trouble, you'll be put in prison. But when I learned all this, how can I do something that people feel to be in my party when they're not scared of any problem? So this is what I feel that's a better thing, that now people are comfortable of being in the democratic part of Rwanda. People can see future in the party. People can see that they can contribute to the Republic of Rwanda or to the state with this party. So this is what we want here. We have different ideas and we show them we are not killed because we have said anything wrong. We are not put in prison because we oppose the government. No, we are not. And actually, on record, maybe we'll have this in the next conversation. Most of the key things we put in our manifesto 2017 and 2018, the ruling party and the government have accepted at least 70% of our key ideas. They have been implemented, meaning that they value what we are saying. So I see when people want to think that there's another opposition other than that, I think that they want more trouble for us than anything good for Rwanda. Because we are building this from our history, from where we're coming from, and for the betterness of Rwanda.
Do you think that maybe sometimes when I read these things, I think maybe these guys, they don't like us. Because they want things that would never happen in their country.
Yes.
Right? They want instability.
Yes.
But then for us, we don't want instability. And I never understand. And maybe this is, we're here speaking like Rwandans, because both of us will be, will suffer the consequences of anything that happens.
Exactly, yes.
But then why haven't, maybe this is a question like, why haven't you gone stronger, you know, and taking this space? Because, you know, these
No, we have been doing this, Sanny. You know, we believe, I decided to become a career politician, but I have had also a lot of politicians who have had more experience than me, who say that anything you do when you don't have political power is useless. So we think that for us to have political power is going to elections. When you go to elections, you campaign, you win seats in the parliament, or you are able to win the presidential seat for the local government and so on, you get power and you're able to influence something. But if you are just sitting there talking, because I've been in a position where I used to talk when I was not in any key position, it's useless. So we believe that for us do our best as a party and have more members on the ground, people on the ground, have structures on the ground. I'm proud to say that my party now has youth structures all over the country, from the district level, provincial level, and national level. Even the National Youth Council, National Youth League. We even have National Women League, from district to provincial. So we have all these structures. So people, this is what they call political party. So once you have a political party strong enough like that, and you're able to go into elections, those people will come. Don't worry, it takes time.
No, hopefully,
it will come.
For me,
and I would say that the diplomacy, maybe it's a different thing, but the diplomacy in Rwanda, the Americans, the European Union, Americans, the Germans, the Belgians, everybody else, they do recognize us very well, and we have discussions with them. And also, we also have friends. I mean, who come us, like in our youth congress we had in September, we had people from Denmark, people from Netherlands, people from Sweden. So why do they come? Because they see something new in Rwanda which is better than what other people say.
That's amazing. I just want, for me, what I want is for your voice as a legitimate political player to have more standing.
Yes.
I'm sick and tired, personally, of seeing rebels and genocide deniers and people who've been gone to jail.
You don't know something else. These people, they pay for that media space.
Tell me more. What do you mean? How?
It's not just for free. They have people write for them articles in those international medias, and we know the strategies. But people have been telling, why don't you do this and do? I said.
So there are people outside who are
who
almost controlling,
who write stories. Some stories you see people write. You can sometimes see the English. You see some of those English in those articles, and you see the person they are putting on the article. You can do some small background check and check. So I have had some information that people have lobbyists.
Really?
Yeah, who are doing those things for them.
But then what do they want from us?
What some of it is about hatred, maybe even for the whole country.
So do they want us to die?
I don't know, but I think some people do not mean well for us. I think sometimes I've had those same feelings. I say really, but I said that, you know what? Me, I'm going to work for the Rwandans. That's my focus. I work for the Rwandans. I'll please the people of Rwanda. As long as people of Rwanda, wherever I go, they say they appreciate what I'm doing. And I see this everywhere I go. We've talked about land policy. Government has changed it. We talked about taxation on land, and the tax government has accepted. People are happy with what we're doing. I said, this is what is most important. And the local media is reporting, because I know as a former journalist that the local media is more important than international media, because the international media will end up feeding into what is coming from the local media.
No, I'm just worried that sometimes with the voices that...
I don't have the money to pay lobbyists.
But then maybe
in the future I'll have them.
I think it's a bit challenging because, the way they talk about us, we might lose money from tourists, we might lose money from people who might be wanting to bring investment in the country. So I really want, I think there needs to be something, even maybe within opposition, where you raise that voice properly. Yeah, but we have also had a time of growth. This is a growth process. We have what we call ladder of political maturity. It takes a time, it takes a process. So I think where we have reached as a party, we are very well climbing the ladder of political maturity. So things, the Rwanda have a saying that things are getting in the right direction. Because I think where we were in 2010 is not the way we were right now. Because now our party is a strong party. We have seats in parliament, 2 seats, and 1 seat in the Senate. We have people elected in local structures. We have a district councillor in Gachenye and others even here in Kigali City, some councillors and so on. So, we are growing as a party. So this is a strength that comes up because we need also to be, before I'm recognized by the foreigners, I need to be recognized by my own people first. So that's what I'm looking for, and I'm getting it because the people of Rwanda, they recognize me, they recognize our party, they recognize our achievements, then the others will come. Okay.
I'm very sure about that.
Frank, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure meeting you.
Yes, and hopefully I will come back.
Sure.
You'll come back and join us and now talk about the manifesto.
I'll be very glad.
Thank
Even
you so
another
much.
subject I'm glad to talk about. I'm also a sportsman we have not talked about. I'm a golfer. I go swimming here at tennis club. We can talk about sports as well.
Okay.
Yes,
thank you so much, Frank.
Thank you very much.
If you enjoyed the conversation today, share your thoughts with us on our social media platforms. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.